Om Mahaganapataye Namaha. In this video, I'm going to talk about my recent Shreem Brzee Mercedes-Benz manifestation story with the intention to inspire you and also give you an idea of what Shreem Brzee is capable of. So, to give you a little background, I've been driving a Toyota Prius for the last 10 years, two different Toyota Priuses. Recently, within the last, say, year or two, I've had a strong desire to drive a Mercedes-Benz. And in general, in the last, say, 3 to 4 months, I've been working very heavily with the Shreem Brzee mantra. Now, what I've been observing, having done this, is I can't accept anything that is not making me feel wealthy, that is not aligned with wealth consciousness. So, when I was driving my car one day, this all just happened very recently. I was driving my Prius, and it was kind of dirty and plasticky, and I realized, I can't drive this car anymore. I mean, I love the Toyota Prius. It's been a great car for me. Never had any problems with it. Very reliable, but I just couldn't drive this car anymore. I couldn't accept anything less than the Mercedes. And what's happening there on a subtle level is Shreem Brzee is influencing my consciousness. It is raising my consciousness. That I am observing all kinds of things in my life where I have been blind spots that I've been settling with. And in particular, this manifestation was around the car. And although that I wanted a Mercedes and all these things, I never actually thought that any time in the near future I would be getting a Mercedes-Benz. My income's been changing a little bit and growing this year, but not to the point where I'm like, oh, I'll just go from a Toyota Prius to a Mercedes-Benz. Fast forward a little bit, one of my friends came out here and has been staying out here, and they happen to be driving a Mercedes-Benz. And I was very excited when I found out about this because I had no idea, and I ended up getting a chance to sit in the car. And a little tip for you is Dr. Ply recommends that you go and sit in the car that you want to manifest, or if it's the house or whatever it is, particularly with cars, go to the dealership or find a friend and go and sit in that car. And if you have an opportunity, go and drive that car because it helps you conceive of manifesting it. And as he talks about, you can only create that which you can conceive. If you can't conceive of it, you can't create it. So that was a major milestone. That's when I really had an experience of what it was like to even sit in a Mercedes. I think that was the first time, I think actually was the very first time that I got to sit inside of a Mercedes-Benz, especially in the driver's seat. Fast forward a little bit later, I continued doing my Shreem Brzee practice every single day. And this feeling of, I don't want to say disgust with the car, but almost to the point where it was almost unbearable is the word. I think unbearable to drive the car. Similar to having this experience with clothes and other things, but particularly with the car, I can't drive it anymore. It wasn't an expression of me. It just doesn't make me feel good. And one day I had a thought to go and why not? Just go start looking at Mercedes. You never know what's possible. So I went and started looking at Mercedes online, and I found one that I really, really liked. And I kept looking and looking and looking, but I kept thinking about this one that I found that I really, really liked. This is how I manifested the house I'm living in too, where it just came on the market. It was love at first sight. It was more than just love. It was a connection that you just knew that this was it. And so eventually I went back and I called about the car and I set up a test drive. It just so happened that this car, of all the cars, and I was searching within a 500-mile radius, and where I live, it's very remote, very rural, and there's not a lot of Mercedes around here, so most of the cars are at least an hour and a half away, if not much, much farther. And I was prepared to travel whatever distance if I could find the right deal. This particular car just so happened to be the closest possible location, the closest Mercedes-Benz dealership near me, which was about an hour and a half away. So I go and take a look at this car, and I had in my mind of the kind of car that I wanted, and this car was an absolute miracle. It was being listed as over $2,000 below its Kelley Blue Book value, which is the value that most people use to determine how much a car is worth. It's sort of a standard. The reason being was they wanted to clear out all these cars because all these new leases were coming up, and so they were trying to get rid of all the old supply basically. So I had this car listed for over 2,000 underneath. Number two, it was fully loaded. It had not only every feature, it had the luxury packages. It makes it unlike, and most, it's a C class, but it's not a normal C class, it's a luxury C class. It's got the premium package, it's got the luxury package on the outside, which makes the car look totally different. It's got the luxury package on the inside, it's got the all-wheel drive. It was just, it was fully loaded. That was another miracle. Another miracle, I went and test drove it. Because of the whole COVID virus and all this stuff, the dealer can't go in the car with you. So there's like, is an hour enough? So let me have the car for an hour to go and drive around. And the car had not a scratch on it. I was expecting it to be, why is it selling it so cheap? Not a scratch on this car. I was even getting comments from other people that were in the car that were in the back seat. They were just amazed. The car is in like immaculate condition. Low mileage, fully loaded, $2,000 under the price. And it was all due to Shreem Brzee. And I'm convinced that the thought I had, because of the timing, was also influenced by Shreem Brzee. Dr. Bly talks about how Shreem Brzee, the archetype, or the archetypal intelligence, which is coming from your unconscious, is a conscious being and is in a communication with you when you're calling on them. And so intuitively, I had the hit to go and look at the car. I happened to get on, and this car, I believe, just came on the market. And it was the perfect car, exactly what I was looking for. It had the sunroof I wanted, which goes all the way back, not just in the front, all the way back to the passenger in the back seat. It had the all-wheel drive. It had the luxury. It was fully loaded. Everything. It has features that I didn't even know about. And it was in the color that I wanted, and the wheels were. It was incredible. It was like coming out of my mind. It was beyond my conception. And I have to attribute it all to Shreem Brzee. They made the miracle possible. At the end of the day, I'm paying, I believe, a little over $100 more, which wasn't very hard to free up budget for, having to cut out some things that were just extra spends anyways. A little over $100 more, and now I shifted from a Toyota Prius to a luxury, fully loaded, low mileage, beautiful, immaculate Mercedes-Benz. Now, to talk a little bit about this experience even further, is what I'm observing is this Mercedes-Benz, and this goes for anything you manifest, any of that wealth, because I say you have to make beauty and luxury a priority in your life. See, we manifest only what our concepts are. Most of us, at least I can speak from my experience, before I started getting engaged with Shreem Brzee and in the past, I had a mindset of very functional. As long as it worked, as long as I had a shirt, holes are fine, whatever. As long as I could wear a shirt, the car, as long as it works, it's safe. I don't have to put all work into it. As long as it works. But when you make beauty and you make luxury, and beauty, I consider the Mercedes as a beautiful expression. It expresses me more than a Toyota Prius. When you make beauty a priority, you'll see that it'll start manifesting around you. What I've noticed is this Shreem Brzee, I call it my Shreem Brzee Mercedes, I'm calling it. It's not just a car for me. One thing I will say is, I can see how material things aren't the things that I'm looking for to make me happy. While it's very great and I love the car, I'm in love with it, there's still a detachment from it where it's not something that I depend on to make me to justify me or validify me or to give me the inner joy. I realize that when I manifest a car, not that I don't appreciate it, I love it and I want to manifest more wealth, but I notice that Shreem Brzee gives me this detachment where I'm not lost in the car. I love it, but I'm not lost in it. And for me, it's a symbol. It represents something more than a car. When I sit in this car, I feel so luxurious. It helps me get into that consciousness where I feel like it was a major hole in the dam that's going to unlock even more and more wealth. It started with some silver that I acquired, some jewelry that I got, and then this car, and then it's just snowballing into all this luxury wealth consciousness that is coming into my life, but all that's happening, if you watch my past videos and if you understand particle physics, it's not that this is coming into my life per se. It is that my mindset has changed. Thank you to Shreem Brzee. And now things are aligning. Mercedes pops up. I didn't even have a concept before. I honestly didn't even think a Mercedes was possible for several years. And all of a sudden I had a thought, just go poke around. I'm paying a little over $100 more, and now I'm driving an immaculate Mercedes-Benz. So one of the things I also, had to escape from is the conditioning of it's out of the safe zone. There's a lot of gamble with getting a Mercedes-Benz. It's not as safe as a Toyota Prius. What if? What if? Then I was praying to God, I want a divine warranty. I want divine insurance. That nothing wrong. And I've had no problems. And honestly, I feel with all my heart and soul that that is protected, because it's about what Dr. Blight talks about, Jesus talks about, is faith. Faith can move mountains. It's your faith, it's your belief that something is possible that makes it possible. And that belief, when it's pure, when it's not being filtered by concepts and conditionings that you're holding on to subconsciously, which is what Brzee is really targeting and removing. It's removing all these blocks. And I feel so great about it, and I want to inspire other people that yes, these things are possible. And how long did it take me? A really good question that people may ask. It didn't take very long. I have been dedicating myself to Shreem Brzee for maybe, I would say, maybe 3 months before I manifest this Mercedes. The big difference here is I did commit. Between some people and others, and I've used it in the past and I didn't get very many results. A little, it felt a little good, but never. I've always been waiting for that major manifestation, and this was my first real major manifestation with Shreem Brzee. And what happened was I really committed to it. I joined the daily chanting calls every single day. I don't think they're hosting them anymore, but they were. Chanting it all throughout the day. Always trying to bring my mind back into Shreem Brzee. Doing a mala, or doing every morning chanting Shreem Brzee. Every evening chanting Shreem Brzee before I go to bed. And it's not, we make it so complicated. It's not very complicated. Just good old-fashioned chanting. Sitting down and doing it every single day consistently will get the job done. You just do it at the same time every day, and you train your mind to expect to go chant. So you don't, it minimizes the gap of giving yourself an excuse to do something. Oh, I'll push my chanting an hour today. I wanted to go do something else. No. This is the time you chant every single morning. I'm going to set my alarm clock, and I'll wake up every single day. I'm going to chant for an hour, 2, 3 hours. Every evening at this particular time, I am going to chant, no matter what. Unless it's an emergency, I need to make myself available and be here to do it. During the day, I'm going to keep chanting. I'm going to keep bringing my mind back to the mantra. So I know you may not know all my background, but I will tell you bottom line is, if I can manifest a Mercedes-Benz, I guarantee you can manifest whatever it is that you want. And the sky is the limit, and once you get a taste of it, you'll want to do it more, and you'll start believing that it's possible. So I encourage you, I want to inspire you, commit to Shreem Brzee. It can happen, it will happen. It may take some time, it may not. It depends on your level of commitment. When you get to the point where you can't take it anymore, you can't settle with being mediocre, you can't settle with crappy car, crappy clothes, you just know you're worth more. You can't do it anymore. When you get to that point, that's when you're going to get the results. You have to bring yourself to a point, and after all, your life is very precious. Every day, how much longer do you want to put it off? Here you have the tools. Here you have the means. It's very simple. It's not hard. You don't even have to join a program. You can just chant Shreem Brzee. Chant it for 1,008 times twice a day. Chant it all throughout the day in between. Just use it, but commit yourself to it. Don't do it wishy-washy. Go all in. And what's going to make you go all in is an intensity that you need to cultivate, that you cannot settle. You are worth more, and you deserve better. And when you change, people around you will change. When you change, the entire world's going to change, because we're all connected. We are all connected. You are an extension of the collective mind. The greatest service, the most powerful thing that you can do for humanity is change yourself. Is by embodying the wealth consciousness, which is not just limited to money and material things. Wealth consciousness is defined as joy, as love, as bliss, as compassion, optimism, confidence. These are all forms of wealth. This is what manifests the outer wealth. These are what enable you to manifest a wealth reality around you. This is a training you did not receive when you were a child, and the training that we all need to have. This is not just yogic science, this is particle physics. The inner becomes the outer. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And as always, if you'd like to be notified for future videos, click subscribe and the bell notification. God bless. Happy manifesting.